2026 is already shaping up to be one of the most fascinating years in fashion, not because of endless novelty, but because of how beauty is being redefined. The most beautiful trends of the year are not just surface deep. They speak to psychology, culture, and the way people want to live. The first trend is elegance as empowerment. We are leaving behind the era of shock value and entering one where subtlety carries the most weight. The most beautiful looks in 2026 will not shout, they will command. Presence, not performance, is becoming the true measure of style. The second is intimacy. Fashion is shifting closer to the body, not in terms of exposure, but in terms of energy. Clothes are becoming extensions of identity, meant to feel personal, almost private, like secrets you carry on your skin. Beauty now is measured by how much a garment reflects you, not how many people react to it. Third, cultural depth. In 2026, beauty is inseparable from story. Fashion that references heritage, artistry, and timeless codes is more powerful than the disposable. People are gravitating toward richness, layers of meaning that go beyond fabric, towards pieces that feel like heirlooms of a new era. Another trend is atmosphere dressing. Style this year isn't about individual items, but the worlds they create. Mystery, serenity, power, or allure. People are choosing clothing not only for how it looks, but for the mood it sets, how it transforms a room the moment you enter it. And finally, the most beautiful trend of 2026 is intentionality. Every choice has weight. The days of throwing together randomness are over. People want coherence, refinement, and the sense that their wardrobe tells a story. This year, fashion is less about chasing trends and more about embodying them. 2026 is the year beauty returns to its highest form, elegance with depth, romance with power, and style with soul. These are not just trends to follow, they are lessons in how to inhabit the future. What makes 2026 so compelling is that beauty itself is no longer being measured by extravagance, but by harmony. The world has grown weary of extremes, and fashion is responding with a return to balance. The most beautiful trend this year is proportion that feels natural, human, and alive. Clothes that don't distort, but instead elevate. Another defining current is timelessness reimagined. Instead of reinventing the wheel every season, designers are refining the classics, stripping away what feels forced and keeping only what resonates. Beauty in 2026 is found in continuity, the sense that what you wear today could just as easily belong to tomorrow. There's also a surge of emotional resonance. Clothing isn't just aesthetic anymore, it's experience. The most beautiful trend is when a garment carries atmosphere, serenity, strength, or even mystery. In 2026, people don't just want to be seen, they want to be felt. We're also witnessing the rise of elegance as resistance. In a world still loud, chaotic, and digital, beauty is being defined by those who dare to be composed, intentional, and reserved. Dressing with grace in 2026 isn't old-fashioned, it's revolutionary. And finally, aspiration is becoming inward, not outward. The beautiful trend now is not trying to prove anything to others, but aligning with your own vision of self. Fashion in 2026 is less about validation and more about coherence, about crafting a style that strengthens you from within. This is why 2026 feels different. It isn't chasing moments, it's shaping meaning. The most beautiful trends aren't about excess, spectacle, or shock. They are about elegance, identity, and permanence. And that is why, more than ever, fashion this year feels like art that breathes. Another layer of beauty in 2026 is restraint. The most magnetic trend this year isn't abundance, it's editing. Leaving space, holding back, letting silence speak through your style. Fashion is realizing that what you don't wear, what you choose not to show, can be just as powerful as what you reveal. Elegance thrives in absence as much as in presence. We're also seeing beauty redefined through rhythm. Dressing is no longer fragmented into moments, work, evening, leisure, but is becoming fluid. The most beautiful wardrobes in 2026 move seamlessly, creating continuity in a life that feels cohesive. Clothing is no longer costume changes, it's one long composition. Another undeniable current is depth. People want clothing that feels layered with meaning, like an archive of stories. In 2026, the most beautiful fashion is not disposable but memorable, not fleeting but lingering. Beauty comes from garments that you don't just wear once, but that continue to grow with you, and there is an aura of mystery returning. The most magnetic women this year aren't the ones who expose everything, but the ones who master the art of concealment. The trend is not transparency, but intrigue. In 2026, beauty lies in what remains untold. Above all, the most beautiful trend is coherence. When your style, your posture, your energy, and your presence align, you create a kind of elegance no trend can manufacture. This is the essence of 2026. Fashion as wholeness. The year's beauty doesn't lie in spectacle or excess, but in the way clothes become atmosphere, shaping how you move, how you're remembered, how you define yourself. That is the true trend of 2026. Fashion not as ornament, but as identity elevated into art. 2026 is also teaching us that beauty is not about chasing the new, it's about making the eternal feel alive again. The most captivating trend is reinterpretation, not reinvention. Designers and wearers alike are pulling from heritage, from memory, from cultural roots, and infusing them with modern clarity. It's proof that beauty doesn't expire, it evolves. There's also a deeper shift toward presence. The most beautiful fashion now is not about what you own, but how you inhabit it. In 2026, clothes are instruments of aura. They shape the way you enter a room, the silence you leave behind, and the way others remember you after you're gone. The trend isn't fabric, it's resonance. We're also seeing refinement as the new form of seduction. The most compelling looks this year don't overwhelm, they invite. Beauty is being defined not by immediacy, but by the ability to unfold slowly, to hold attention the way a great novel does. This kind of fashion doesn't burn fast, it lingers. And perhaps the most important trend of all, self-possession. 2026 is the year when style stops begging for validation and starts standing on its own. The women who captivate now are not dressing to be approved of. They are dressing as extensions of who they already are. That quiet confidence is becoming the ultimate luxury. So when we talk about the most beautiful trends of 2026, we are not talking about fleeting aesthetics. We are talking about atmosphere, refinement, mystery, presence, and identity. Fashion this year is not decoration, it's definition. And the most powerful truth of all is this. In 2026, beauty belongs to those who wear it with intention. Another dimension of 2026 beauty is depth expressed through simplicity. Not simplicity as emptiness, but as refinement. The kind where every detail has meaning, where nothing is wasted, where elegance emerges from clarity. This year, the most beautiful wardrobes will feel curated, architectural, built on precision rather than excess. We're also entering an era of emotional luxury. Beauty in 2026 isn't about showing wealth, it's about radiating energy. The way clothing moves, the way it carries light, the atmosphere it creates around you, that is what makes it desirable. People are not buying fashion alone, they are buying a feeling, an aura. Another powerful trend is mystery reborn. For too long, fashion equated power with exposure, but in 2026, restraint feels magnetic. The most beautiful style doesn't reveal everything. It hints, it suggests, it draws you closer. Beauty lies in what remains unspoken, in the poetry of the unseen. We also see a resurgence of coherence. After years of fragmented aesthetics, 2026 celebrates wholeness. The most beautiful trend is alignment, when your wardrobe, your presence, and your story all move in the same direction. This is the year fashion transforms from costume into continuity. And perhaps the most striking truth is this: beauty in 2026 is not for show, it's for becoming. Every choice of fabric, shape, or silhouette becomes a declaration of who you are and who you are becoming. Fashion is shifting from fleeting performance to lasting definition. The most beautiful trends of 2026 prove that style is no longer about chasing something outside yourself. It's about refining what has always been within you. And that is why this year, more than ever, fashion feels not just relevant, but necessary. 2026 also reveals that beauty is now tied to rhythm, the natural flow between restraint and revelation, strength and softness. The most magnetic fashion this year carries movement, like music translated into fabric. It doesn't just dress the body, it choreographs it. Another layer is permanence. In a culture that has grown exhausted by the endless turnover of trends, The most beautiful statement is one that endures. Pieces that feel like they could exist yesterday, today, and tomorrow carry a weight that fast fashion can never replicate. 2026 makes permanence itself a trend. We are also seeing beauty defined by intimacy. The way clothing interacts with the self, not just how it looks to others, is becoming paramount. The fabric against the skin, the feeling of ease, the confidence it gives in private moments, these are now central to what makes fashion desirable. True beauty is not for the camera, it's for the wearer. Another anticipated current is transcendence. Fashion in 2026 is no longer just about the body, it's about the atmosphere you create in space. The most beautiful style transforms rooms, shifts energy, and tells stories without a word. This is elegance as an invisible force, one that lingers long after you've left. And above all, beauty in 2026 is intentional. Nothing random, nothing hollow, nothing purely reactionary. Every element has weight. Every choice has meaning. Fashion this year is about coherence between inner life and outer expression. This is why 2026 feels different, because fashion is no longer competing for attention. It is commanding respect. And the most beautiful trends are not just clothes to be worn, they are lessons in how to live with clarity, elegance, and presence.